Hey there, a bit of an unorthodox video today. However, I've been lacking in uploads and have been itching to talk about this topic for a while. As you can tell by the title, I will be discussing NSFW material in media and how it can be used in various ways. I'd first like to start with bad examples. Shows or anime that use fanservice or nudity in a way that does not, in any way, shape, or form, contribute to the plot. A fantastic example of this would be High School DxD. There is so much nudity in this show, it's unbelievable. And worst of all, it barely contributes to the plot. Issei never really becomes a better person, it doesn't add much to the depth of the story, and is just there for men to ogle the high school girls. Of course, one could argue, but Issei gets stronger through certain perverted abilities, or it's for comedic effect, or it shows a trust and disconnect between cultures. But if you really need fanservice to show off a power, comedy, or differing cultures, that's sad. There are many other ways to portray these themes without NSFW material. In a similar vein to High School DxD, Roshidere, Tokidoki Bosoto Roshiago de Deruru Tonari no Aria-san, or Aria sometimes hides her feelings in Russian, includes many fanservice scenes, including but not limited to changing room scenes, hypnotization, feeding the fetishes, etc. The fanservice tend to take away from what the actual story is, a girl who attempts to hide her feelings through Russian, the title of the show, and the setup between the main character and the female lead sister is good drama. However, in an attempt to attract more men and to be funny, they include fanservice shots. This is a common issue prevalent in shonen romance. I'll list off one more example before getting into the good cases of NSFW in media. Especially since there are so many awful cases, this area will be way too long. I could just go on forever. The last anime I will be covering is one I actually have a personal soft spot for numerous reasons. Netoge no yome wa onna no ko janai no omota, or And You Thought There Was Never a Girl Online. My reasonings for liking this anime, to an extent, are due to the comedy outside of the fanservice. For example, how comfortable the female lead is with the protagonist due to her believing they're married in real life, despite it being an in-game marriage, or the sort of realism of catfishing and how devastated some people are by it. Things like that. It's decently realistic, to an extent. I personally believe that if there was no fanservice in this anime, I would love it significantly more. The story by itself, a girl trying to differentiate real life from a game, is fun, interesting, and would be a great anime if it weren't for the fanservice. Now we can get into great examples of NSFW material in media. I'll start small, then work my way up. I got a bomb of analysis in this section. First off, Kamen Rider X8 spin-off episode, Kamen Rider X8 episode 14.5, otherwise known as Kamen Rider Brave Survive Seyo, Fukatsu no Beast Rider Squad, or Kamen Rider Brave Survive, Revival of the Beast Rider Squad. It contains a small scene, a shower scene, that can be a little revealing at times. However, this is something used to push the plot, to show the vulnerability of the victim. She is naked and unsuspecting, so when she does get slashed across the back, it feels like it could happen. Shower scenes, if used properly, fantastically portray the vulnerability of a character. Horimiya has a scene that could be a little spicy, however pushes the plot in every direction, in a good way. At the end of episode 7, it is heavily implied that the two have sex, even going as far as showing a bite mark on the male lead's neck, as well as having a pregnancy scare scene. Including this heavy implication allowed for multiple character developments, obviously with the female lead Hori showing her connection to the male lead Miyamura, and sometimes jealousy due to their deep connection. The other party affected by this would be Hori's younger brother, Sota, who upon catching the two doing the deed, then fears that the man he trusts most in his life, Miyamura, will take away the woman he trusts most, his big sister. Every moment in this anime feels realistic. The emotions make sense, there isn't real fanservice, and every character chemistry works fantastically. But look, this isn't the Tiger Turn of Gushes Over Horimiya video, this is the NSFW Content and Media video, so back to it. Another pick is a seemingly fanservice-y anime, Aobuta, Seishun Buta Yaro, or Rascal Does Not Dream of Budding Girl Senpai. Getting people to watch this anime is a nightmare because the title shot itself in the foot. There's barely any fanservice, surprisingly, and when there are perverted moments, it's generally used to show off who the male lead is as a character. His nonchalant personality, not caring about the opinions of others, and mainly trying to weird out people for his amusement. His life is so traumatic and eventful, from nearly losing his little sister multiple times, and in more ways than one, to having a girl he fell for be forgotten by the world, to being stuck in a time loop for months, to having to deal with clones of a person he doesn't know what's real or not. He's defeated and finds joy in the little things. His honesty with his interests also deepens the bond between the main character and his lover, showing the trust that they share. Fantastic show. Please watch it right now, it's amazing. Lastly, and most importantly, Shin Seiki Evangelion, or Neon Genesis Evangelion. This series, especially the ending film, The End of Evangelion, is littered with nudity, and that isn't a negative trait. If anything, it's positive and deconstructs what fanservice in anime is. In the series, there is a scene where many of the character, they, are seen floating in a liquid, all of these clones of her nude. This isn't meant to be fanservice-y, but instead a show of naturality. How these aren't really people, they're more reminiscent of animals, things just kept for various reasons. Humans wear clothes, animals don't. In the end of Evangelion, the infamous hospital scene plays out, where protagonist Shinji Ikari does unholy things using the body of his teammate Asaka. While many choose to either laugh at the scene or call it outright disgusting and unnecessary, they fail to see the purpose of it. The reason behind it is meant to discomfort the viewer and make them feel just as disgusting and awful as Shinji did when performing this act. It shows that he is still just a boy despite being forced into this sci-fi battle, that his natural primordial instinct still exists in this deranged, neglected child. And that's what Evangelion is all about. The primordial life. That's what human instrumentality is, returning to a primordial state. I don't mean to justify this. I don't think what Shinji did was inherently right, but the way it was written works well. Nudity in Evangelion is shown in a non-sexualizing way, and when it is, it's because a character itself is sexualizing a character, and that is generally seen as a negative thing. Every character who sexualizes somebody has bad feelings about themselves. Kaji is a womanizer, and he knows it. There's a lot of things he does wrong and recognizes his errors. The way it's used is for discomfort and neutrality, not sex appeal. It really is a beautiful narrative of life as a whole, and again, I highly recommend this series too. There is actually one more section I wrote about, however, it isn't the most family-friendly topic, and I don't feel it's fit to be on YouTube. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to the original document in the description, so feel free to take a gander. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening to my rant. I really just wanted to get this out there because I needed to talk about it, and to make a long story short, keep your hentai away from my good media. If I want something like that, I will seek it out. That's all I got today. See ya!